It's another terrific Saturday morning here on the podium, and of course, it's live on 32FM 94.9. Here we'll have the frank conversation on issues of national interest. And of course, if you don't pick interest in politics, today you might just want to, especially looking at the fact that we're going to be celebrating 63rd year of our independence as a nation. And that's a milestone, if you ask me. 63, it's a whole lot. What have we achieved, our gains, our prospect? Where are we today? Where are we going to? But in the light of all the questions, I say, happy anniversary, Nigeria. And long live Nigeria, and God bless Nigeria. And I think that's a spirit we must hold on to in spite of all the myriad of challenges that the country is bedeviled with. And as a people, we are so concerned. But we hope that we'll find that succor that we've always craved for as a society, as a people, that are hospitable, people who are loving, people who want progress. All right, my name is Gbolabo, Famous School, and of course, again, welcome you to the podium on your laughter dial and 32 FM 94.9. Do also remember we are live on Facebook, and that's on our socials, Facebook and also on YouTube. In case you also want to follow us on our socials, you can do that by following us on our fan page 32FM 949 Ibadan, and drop your comments as well on our socials. And for international audience, you're also welcome on board to have these discussions with you, because I know that many of you will want to also trail events here in Nigeria, especially as we look forward to a very healthy Independence Day anniversary, in spite of the fact that the government is saying it's going to be low-key because of what we're facing as a nation. Even some states have cancelled any celebration. States like Osun, for instance, is cancelling any sort of celebration around independence. But then the reality is that we're having our independence, and we are at 63 as an independent sovereign nation. I think we deserve a win-win situation at this time. We must celebrate our little wins in spite of what may look bleak. All right, we'll start off this morning with the Punch newspaper editorials, and it's titled Tinubu Cardoso Should Rescue Naira. And this is dated 29th of September 2023. And the editorial board says, ongoing development in the foreign exchange market casts ominous clouds over the country. News of the Naira's continued buckling against other world currencies, and the Central Bank of Nigeria missing its debt repayment schedule to deposit money banks deepen the concerns of businesses and international partners. President Bola Tinubu and the newly confirmed CBN Governor Yemi Cardoso must take firm, effective fiscal and monetary policy measures respectively to save the economy. The Naira crossed the 1,000 Naira to $1 bar penultimate week at the parallel forex market, deepening panic across the business community. On Wednesday, it settled at an average of 987 to 966 Naira per dollar. But this was called comfort, with the official rate 778 Naira 6 cover. The difference and therefore scope of arbitrage is consequently over 200 Naira per dollar. Also, the rates are grossly inimical to an import-based economy, and worse, dollars are in short supply, gravely starving businesses, especially MSCs, XMEs here, the small, medium, and scale enterprise, according to the editorial board. And still looking at the Punch editorial board with this particular caption, Tinubu Cardoso should rescue the Naira. This also says the editorial board went ahead to say the Apex Bank's default is clearing the over $10 billion forex debt owed DMBs, that's the deposit money banks, as promised dampen hopes of a quick rebound for the Naira. Cardoso inherited a chaotic, opaque and politicized monetary policy system. Under his substantive predecessor, Godwin Emefiele, the CBN was weak, inefficient, and enmeshed in murky politicking of the Muhammadu Buhari administration. To save the Naira, tame inflation and rates, Cardoso should deliver on his promise to quickly clear the backlog of forex obligation and discontinue Emefiele's unorthodox policies. As he admitted, meeting repayment and other obligations and funding the market are crucial. Policies should be pursued to promote export and diversify dollar supply sources. And the editorial board also suggested he needs to tame the banks and the BDCs and influence peddlers, making billions from illegal arbitrage. The CBN must cleanse of corruption, inefficiency, and institutional weakness. There should be radical reforms to make it nimble, ICT enabled, alert, and ruthlessly efficient in enforcing the rules. Cardoso should jealously shield the CBN from political and crony influence. His closeness to Tinubu should not compromise the bank's autonomy either. Reforming and calming the forex market should be his immediate priority, accompanied by moderated inflation and interest rates. Between them, Tinubu and Cardoso should save the economy. All right, those are the words of the editorial board of the Punch newspaper with this particular title, Tinubu Cardoso should rescue the Naira, and of course, the start 29th of September 2023. In case you're just joining us, it's still the podium, and this is coming to you live from your number one dial Laughter station here in Ibadan, 32 FM 94.9. Our guest is already waiting virtually this morning, but interestingly, there are also all the matters arising that the panelists made of into Wednesday round, but our guest is already waiting. We're looking at the number of matters arising. Omo Agege ill-fated petition is one of the issues making the round. Sack of Plateau State Speaker. And another issue, big one, within the judiciary, organized labor plan strike. That's another headache for the country. And a Risco's 5 billion naira lawsuit over customer review. Another interesting incident in Nigeria. And we've been having all of this in the country. We are a blessed people in spite of what we may call dramatic turn. Nigerians are moving on. Nigerians are planning. Nigerians are doing businesses. And now, in spite of what may look like a weakling economy, Nigerians are still finding some sort of a soft landing for themselves. And of course, like I told you, our guest is already waiting online. But an interesting video, an interview by a station here in Nigeria, National TV, has been making the rounds, and many people have been saying so many things. Apart from the labor plan strike, we do understand that if you buy a product, sometimes you're asked to leave a review, and I've seen on a number of e-commerce pages when you see instances of when you get a product, they tell you, please do a review for us. We want to get if we've been able to satisfy your interest. But that is a big thing for a review being made for a particular product and it got out of hand and it became an issue. Quite interesting interview to listen or watch. And so many things were said, so many lessons were learned, especially by promoters and manufacturers in Nigeria. Of course, we have a break ticking very soon. But quickly, we have one of the panelists trying to get his grasp of his breath this morning. I'm sure that's a ton climbing the staircase. All right, we have one of the panelists in the studios before we go into what appears to be a customer review that went out of hand. And we have the particular except just to listen to it quickly and not to keep our guests waiting. But then, Barrister, it's great to have you. We have Barrister Yomi Ogunola joining us live in the studios right about now. It was a jog this morning. Good morning, Barrister.
Yes, Gbolabo, good morning. And a wonderful morning to Nigerians. It's a great pleasure to be here.
And happy independence.
Oh.
In advance.
Well, happy. But are we really happy? Even the government has come out to tell Nigerians that the celebration will be low-key. And I think rightly so. Because when you ask yourself, is it worth it celebrating a 63-year-old that is still crawling? You know, the answer is obvious. Nobody will be happy to have a 63-year-old man or woman still crawling.
All right, Barrister, we have to pay our first bill on the program this morning. We'll take this one and we'll be back very shortly.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
ká ṣèdánwò ká kábàámọ̀ lórí èsì ìdánwò ti dópin báyìí ẹ̀yin akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àtẹ̀yin tẹ́ fẹ́ ṣèdánwò tọ́rọ̀ ti polúkú musu fún ẹ kú oríire o ṣèdánwò UTME WAEC NECO SAT Cambridge NAPTED A-level
2024 UTME class 2024 WAEC class 2024 WAEC GC class bákan náà ni ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àti ìforúkọsílẹ̀ ń lọ lọ́wọ́ fún IELTS.
àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ lẹ fẹ́ ṣe ni ilé ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ kan wà tí mo fọwọ́ ẹ̀ sọ̀yà wípé ó dúró re àní òsì sí lọ́dọ̀ tiwọn ta nílé ẹ̀kọ́ tí mò ń perí gan Crystal Health University Home of Success ní bákan náà tẹ́ ẹ bá fẹ́ kàwé ṣiṣẹ́ lókè òkun ó jẹ́ wa lọ́wọ́ dájú ó sì dá wa lójú tàdá nílé iṣẹ́ wa ó jàre kàn sí wọn nítòsí Foodco Baptist bus stop Àkóbọ̀ Ìbàdàn ó sì lè pè wọ́n sórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí 0803-428-3894 0803-428-3894 ní Crystal Health University Home of Success àṣeyọrí tó dúró re nínú ìdánwò dìrọ̀rùn pọ̀.
ṣọ́ra fóònù tiẹ̀ ló wá sọ títí tó o tún ṣe síbẹ̀ tí kò gbọ́ tó jẹ́ káwọn ẹnjìníà máa sọ ẹ́ di jẹunjẹun wò ó má jẹ́ kó tì sú ẹ ọ̀rẹ́ wa torí àìrìn jìnnà láìra bùkẹ́ ọ̀kẹ́rẹ́ jẹ́ mú ẹ lọ sí iléeṣẹ́ tó máa yí nìke fóònù tí wọ́n bá ọ sọ fóònù rẹ di tuntun ní kíákíá ká lọ sí Real Phones Repair and Unlock Services. Real Phone Repair and Unlock Services ọ̀gá ni wọ́n nínú ká tún fóònù ṣe ká sòkú fóònù dá láàyè tó bá wá jẹ́ pé ẹ fẹ́ unlock fóònù ni ọ̀gá ni lásà Real Phones kó tún jẹ́ screen problem ni wọ́n ní gbogbo àrùn kárùn tó bá ń ṣe fóònù rẹ ní Real Phones abẹ́ gbéyẹ̀wò tí wọ́n sì sọ fóònù rẹ di tuntun. Iléeṣẹ́ wọn wà ní number 35C Nipos Shopping Complex ládojúkọ Cocoa House Ìbàdàn. Wọ́n wà láti wọlé géètì wọ́n tún wà lápọ̀tún rẹ̀ gẹ́lẹ́ tó bá ti wọlé tán ẹ lè pè wọ́n sórí
0706-436-8169 tàbí 0809-695-7878.
Real Phones Repair and Unlock Services ojútùú sí gbogbo ìpèníjà fóònù rẹ.
My people perish for lack of knowledge. Reuben George Theological Seminary, Ibadan, an affiliate of Ajayi Crowther University, Oyo, and Christ for the Nations Institute, Dallas, USA, offers comprehensive training in the Word of God. The seminary offers certificate in theology, diploma in theology and religious studies, Bachelor of Arts in theology and religious studies, executive postgraduate diploma in pastoral studies, Masters of Arts in Christian leadership and pastoral studies, Master of Divinity. Are you a pastor, evangelist, elder,
deacon or deaconess,
teacher, or someone who seeks to know more about God? Reuben George Theological Seminary is the place to be. Contact the registrar at Gospel Town, Arulogun Road, Ojo, Ibadan, or visit www.rigets.com.ng. Admission is in progress. Contact 0805-304-0344, 0805-304-0344. Reuben George Theological Seminary, Center for Sound Theological Education. Announcer, Registrar.
Tẹ̀lẹ̀tì G property ìyẹn Orange Park and Garden tó wà ládojúkọ Ìdó police station lójú ọ̀nà ológun ẹ̀rú ń bàdàn sí ń tà pẹ̀lú àwọn àǹfààní aláìlẹ́gbẹ́ tó ń bẹ lórí ẹ̀. Perimeter fencing iná ọba ti dórí ilẹ̀ ètò ààbò tó péye. Orange Park and Garden ìrìn ìṣẹ́jú 15 ní sí ẹlẹ́yẹlé ìrìn ìṣẹ́jú 7 ní sí reluwé tó ń bọ̀ láti ìlú Èkó. Àwọn ọlọ́gbọ́n èèyàn ti ń ralẹ̀ wọ́n ti ń bá iṣẹ́ ilé kíkọ́ wọn lọ ní Orange Park and Garden. Ẹ̀yin náà lo àǹfààní ẹ máa bọ̀ lọ́fíìsì Tẹ̀lẹ̀tì G tó wà lẹ́yìn GTB Bank Ajibade bus stop lójú ọ̀nà Ṣàngó sí Mọ́kọ́lá Ìbàdàn. Kẹ́ ẹ wá ra fọ́ọ̀mù 10,000 naira. Tẹ́ ẹ bá ti dẹ́pọ́sìtì 200,000 nínú 1 million naira. Láàárín 24 hours la máa ṣàlókẹ́sọ̀n yìí. Fẹ́kùnrẹ́rì àlàyé ẹ máa pè 080-78-74-81-76 tàbí 080-62-43-1303. Let's G Property.
Ẹ wá lò nílé o. ẹni
tó fẹ́ ní mọ̀kúmọ̀ kó lè tó jẹ Adékúnlé Ajásin University Ìbàdàn campus tó gún wàsímù Fúlàní Hun College of Education Ìbàdàn Lagos Express Road ọ̀rẹ́ méjì axis Ìbàdàn lọ ní mọ̀kúmọ̀ ń bẹ kó o mọ̀ bá àdínísẹ́ olóṣèlú sáìtù ẹ̀kọ́ ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tí ń gba fọ́ọ̀mù lọ enroll irúfẹ́ courses tó bá wù ọ́ ní kó yàn tó gba sabukéṣà àgùnbánirọ̀ lẹ́yìn àṣeyọrí English language political science accounting economics computer science biology health human kinetics social studies religious studies àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ rípo ní 5 credit tó ní math and English nínú Mondays to Fridays lẹ́kọ́ ìmọ̀ ìparí sẹ́ni tàwọn tó wà lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ Saturdays and Sundays AAUA management ńlọ́lù lóńdẹ̀ gbà.
Postgraduate diploma PGD in education ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí ní Fúlàní College of Education in affiliation with Adékúnlé Ajásin University Akungba Àkókò Ondo State.
Platform ní Eléwùrà Community Grammar School #1 Baálé Eléwùrà Street Eléwùrà Challenge ní Ìbàdàn tàbí #1 Triple Grace House Law Street behind South Filling Station Òkè Àdó Ìbàdàn 5,000 ní fọ́ọ̀mù 40,000 ní school fees fún semester kan 07031551555 tàbí www.aauaibadancampus.com.
Ojú ti là tọmọdé tàgbà ló máa yí sólà wọn náà wòye tó fi ń repo sínú jẹnẹrétọ̀ lójoojúmọ́ ọ̀hún epo ti sẹ́lómi ìdó ń gbèsè wòye tó fi ń sáfìsì ẹ̀ tó bá dẹnu kọlẹ̀ ó ṣáà ti ń gbọ́ nípa Novesola iléeṣẹ́ tó mójúlẹ́jà sólà tó ń lágbára oòrùn iná sólà tí kì í ṣe dákúdájí iná rẹ̀ kì í jáni nítàn mọ́ Novesola tó ń yọni lọ́fìn ooru àbádì àti kíkùn yúnmúyúnmú ẹ̀fọn ẹ̀yin iléeṣẹ́ ńláńlá ọlọ́fíìsì kéékèèké ilé ìtura ilé ìgbafẹ́ ilé ẹgbẹ́ gbogbo nílé lóko lódò lẹ́yìn odi tó fi dórí ilé ìwòsàn sólà lẹ nílò nírú àsìkò yìí o èròjà Novesola ń bẹ nílẹ̀ bìbà lówó tẹ́ńbẹ́lẹ̀ solar panel inverter battery tó lálòpẹ́ kárin kése solar kit solar generator tó ń fúnni lágbára iná solar bore system tó ń fami nínú kànga solar street light solar fan iná solar kéékèèké tó ń charge phone batteries bágbára bá ṣe ká ni o àròyé kò síná tó ìrọ̀rùn ni wọ́n fúnra rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú solar pè wọ́n bọ̀ nílò solar tàbí kàn sí wọn lọ́fíìsì wọn ń bàdàn Akíndélé plaza opposite Adamasegba stadium Èkó tẹ̀lú Ìbàdàn telephone
08117998798
WhatsApp number
08127998800.
nírú àsìkò yìí Novesola lọ̀rọ̀ kan.
There are depths and dimensions to laughter. 32 FM presents Laughter Fest. Featuring CDQ.
What's will be intro to the Leadership Chapter Fago, Abuba Nimseki, Yankee, Gbolabo Vabri, and I'll be live at Laughter Fest happening on the 1st of October at Amphitheater Adamasegba Ibadan. Watimagbo, powered by 94.9 FM. Feel it. Want to see you guys there, 4 p.m. All PM, you're the beauty.
Said Oshupa, Fabulous Peasy, comedians Woli Agba, Remote, Short Family, Nepo Boys, Woli 3310, and many more. Venue, Racecourse Amphitheater at Adamasegba Ibadan. Date, October 1st. Time, 4 p.m. This event is proudly sponsored by Regal Dry Gin and Trophy. This event is free. Laughter is laughter, but what is laughter without your 32? 32 FM 94.9. 32 FM 94.9. Just because you do not take an interest in politics doesn't mean politics won't take an interest in you.
The funds spent were properly spent because we got them from intervention funds.
Only you waka come. There is God.
I don't know which party my wife belongs to, but she belongs to my kitchen and my living room and the other room.
Stay in tune with politics on 32 FM 94.9.
Police asked her, where is it? Did you complete the NAFDAC? No. Son, no. How do you know the product is killing? She said, I bought it and tested it. Is her mouth the laboratory? If you want to review product, be open. I love my customer. If no customer, I will not be what I am today. Make sure that if I'm killing somebody in Nigeria with my product, I should be killed. Police asked her, where is the product? She said she threw it out. What is the production date? No. Where is the batch number? No. What led you to do this one? He said he didn't know what to come over her. How can I have over 40 years? I have over 3,000 people in my factory. I have indirect. We have 20,000 people who are paying indirect. How can I allow this type of a syndicate to come and destroy my people? Are telling me why must he arrest? Is she more than arrest? We are going for 5 billion. Even that is small money for her, for me to ask for her. Because that much, $30 million. You know how much is it? I will tell you, for the past 5 years, I never get any credit in Nigeria. No loan. For the past 3, I never get $1 foreign exchange.
The so-called letter of apology. It is so obvious
It was done under duress. And it is not surprising that he kept displaying it. And he can explain more the circumstance. But what I want to state on record is that that was not written voluntarily. And at the time she even had to be forced to write it, they had already made effort to put her back in the cell. And the man was shouting. This is what my client told me directly, that they will keep her for another 7 days. She does not want to sign it. And he also made direct threats to her, which I would like the husband to speak to. Now, what is the allegation against this woman? What is the allegation?
Yeah, that was the question I wanted to ask.
This is the post that she made.
Yes.
I went to buy tin tomato yesterday. I will use to make stew. I didn't see, she mentioned other brands and said, so I decided to buy this one. When I opened it, I decided to test it. Omo, sugar is just too much. Sugar is just too much. She didn't say that there is a test of sugar. She complained to the quantity. So when the man came here and was saying, oh, sugar is one of the ingredients, that is not the issue. She said the quantity by her own test, which she is entitled to, was too much. It is here.
All right, so welcome back to the podium. And of course, this is live on 32 FM 94.9. You just listened to the Erisco boss there talking about the tomato paste saga. And it has been a major issue in Nigeria because many people have been asking questions. Does it pay so much to do a review? Do you get backlash for doing a review on a product that you made use of for the first time and you appear not to be convinced about the quality of the product? But that got out of hand. The reviewer got arrested, and of course she was released later on. And from what we're hearing from her husband, her feet are swollen, and she's a nursing mother, so she couldn't attend press interview. A lawyer and her husband had to do that. But then we also have another panelist joining us very quickly on the program. Of course, we have our guest too virtually waiting on for us to bring him on into this conversation. We have Professor Remi Ayede, who is also one of our panelists, joining Barrister Yomi Ogunlola on the podium this morning. It's great to have you back here, Prof. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, and good morning, listeners. I hope we'll have very great discussions this morning.
All right, there are a lot of myriad of issues. I was looking at the matters arising, and it's something that we can't even go through, leaving our guests just there. We just have to touch on one right about now and move on very quickly. All right, I want us to quickly look at this issue of product review. I do know that even when you write a book, that is even when it's not edible, and I've seen a number of reviews that are screaming that you have to cringe when you read what some people have to write. Even when you read the books and for you, you're convinced that this book is very good. Someone else read and like, I don't like the metaphor. I don't like the intonation. I don't like the use of language. This person is tacky. And you realize that the authors come back and look at those reviews and work on those areas. Some areas are just malicious that you just have to ignore and move on. But for this particular case, the man in question is not moving on. He feels that his product has been maligned in the public, and he's not happy about that. Now, we talk about democratic system of governance. We talk about free speech, being able to express ourselves as human. And if you have this kind of development for a product being made in Nigeria, at least for the first time, Nigerians are buying into what appears to be Nigeria made. That has been an issue over time. Even as a journalist from inception, you realize that made in Nigerian products are something that they tell every journalist at inception to preach about, to talk about. But now, having instances of internal review going bad. Let me start off with Professor Remi Ayede. You listened to Mr. Eric there, and of course he vituperated. He was very angry. He felt that he's lost a lot of customers. Why would you're a syndicate, you're being promoted by someone. Prof, hasn't he lost the opportunity to prove the worth of his products? Because he said he has a number of brands. One has some sugar mix, some doesn't have sugar mix, and the rest of it. Now, would we say he missed an opportunity to talk about? This is not just about Mr. Eric. It could be other products. It could be books. It could be something that is not edible. But what lessons are we picking out of it? Has he lost an opportunity to sell into the hearts of the people? What exactly must have happened from your own perception of what is played out?
I think there are two important points that needs to be emphasized. The first is what we call customer protection rights. A customer has a right to expect the quality of product that has been advertised, and when you buy it and it's not as expected, you're also free to speak out. In fact, the customer has a right not only to review it, but also to report such cases to the appropriate authorities like NAFDAC and so on. The second part is really that the man got it completely wrong because the customer is king, and that's the first rule of marketing. You are supposed to, in fact, go out of your way to seek review of customers so that you can improve on your products. Even in banks do regular surveys to get a sense of what their customers feel like. And I know I've signed a number of surveys. And if I want to buy any product, for instance, whether it's Jumia, Konga, or AliExpress, what I normally do is to look at the reviews by those who have purchased those products. In fact, sometimes some of those sites will tell you the number of those products they have sold. And then you look at the reviews. Some reviews are very bad. In fact, especially when you are going to hotels, the first thing you also want to look at is the review. And then if you get a positive review and you go to the hotel and you find that the review does not reflect what is on the ground, especially if the facilities are very poor, but the reviews are very upbeat, then you know something is wrong with that review. So review is a standard practice in the world of marketing today. That whether it's hotel, whether it's online business products, whether it's products you buy at regular, even Zuma shop and food co. If you go there, they give customers survey questionnaires to fill so that they have a sense of what we desire, how we feel about the treatment by their staff and so on and so on. So I think what this man has done is completely out of sync. It's unheard of. It's unacceptable. All he needed to do was to go back to the woman and ask, what is the problem with this product? And then you go on to improve on the quality. Now, what he has done is to jump the gun to abuse the influence and power that he has within the security system. So there's a big problem there, and I think that they should go to court.
All right. Well, we'll get to Barrister, but quickly, let me bring our guest on board because he's been waiting since 9 a.m. So he's also itching to be part of the conversation this morning. All right. We have Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Jibrin Samuel Okuchekwa, joining us on the program this morning. It's great to have you join us, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Gbolabo. How are you?
I'm great. I'm fine. I'm sure that you're preparing for the Independence Day.
Well, like my learned friend had said, what are we preparing? Are we really independent in the sense of the world? After 63 years, Nigerians are still managing and tolerating and all manner of excruciating pains and experiences we have had, including the intolerant behaviors of those who have the means of production. Like you are talking about somebody who says he will go and claim so much amount of money from court, for somebody who bought a product and expressed her views of what she saw or what she tasted as being something that is more salty or more possess more sugar than the rest. In normal climate, the lady would be approached with some level of civility, not the use of money bags and powers that you have, and then I wonder what had gone wrong with our security agencies to capture and put a lady who expressed her views of what she bought.
Exactly.
So, my dear, when you ask me happy independence, I do not know how happy you are. I'm not that too happy, and I'm not sure Prof and my colleagues with you there are not as happy as some people would think they are. Happy independence just in name, but in practical reality, happy bondage.
All right, that's quite metaphorical. Happy bondage. Wow. All right, let me go to Barrister. Before we come back to you, SAN, let me quickly go to Barrister on this issue of product review.
Thank you very much. Like Prof and my learned Silk said, I don't know what is wrong with the examination of the benefits and or the backside, the bad sides of or the downside of a product, because it is actually the right of a customer, all right, to review a product and either sell it or otherwise. And what really struck me is what my learned silk, taught. I think it is time that the Nigeria police force is made to realize, the limits of its competence, because it is so worrisome that despite the Police Act and several workshops and seminars that have been conducted on what should be the role of the police, you still find them meddling in areas or trenching into jurisdictions that are beyond them. Because I don't see why that kind of a woman would have been locked up in their cell. It's a case that really calls for, the attention of the authorities. You find a lot of this. You see, the courts particularly have been emphatic on what role the police should play. The Police Act is very, very clear on the powers of the police. But what do you get in this country? Two people have a little dispute concerning debt. You owe somebody money, somebody owes money, and the police is in there trying to be a debt collector for one. And then at the end of the day, they're asking for 10% as commission. I think that really, really struck me. The Learned Silk and Prof touched on the rights of the consumer. Thank God the Learned Silk also taught this one, because it was what really struck me. What is the role of police? What are the powers of the police? What are the limitations to those powers?
All right, let me bring you to the topic of this morning. And of course, we are projecting into the Independence Day. We are 63 as a nation. By tomorrow, we should be hitting the bell and saying to ourselves, we are 63. And of course, over 20 years of democracy. We're back in 1999. Now, SEN, let me quickly take you down. If you look at the clamor for true federalism, it's been there. And now we keep wondering, in what shape, in what format do we come up with a true federal state? Now, it appears to be a cliche. It appears to be something that we've mouthed over the years without any significant progress. Let's even look at the formation of political parties right from the days of Awolowo. We'll talk about Awolowo. We'll talk about Nnamdi Azikiwe, Tafawa Balewa. Now, if you look at the kind of political structure that made the entire nation as at that time, many people still feel that the aspect of ethnicity, religion, played volume in the kind of people they want within their cycle as at that time. Till date, we're still complaining, are we still one? Many people are saying that we are just people who are forced together to be in a geographical setting. We don't understand ourselves. We don't like ourselves. We still believe more. I'm an Ibibio man. I'm more or less a Yoruba man than an Igbo man. Now, this calls for true federalism. How do we get there? Is it by our constitution? Now that we are 63, we're still discussing this same topic. We're still talking about fiscal federalism as at now, resource control. And our fact is being shared. The governors go cap in hand. Now, what is these debates about true federalism? Do we understand what we want as a nation, even at 63?
Well, Gbolabo, I have always maintained that given the level of my education, I do not understand what the people who are propagating true federalism are saying. Does it mean true federalism in the sense that whatever resources you found in the soil where you are geographically located, you should be using it to the exclusion of other persons? Does it mean that resources that is found in one geographical location should not be used to develop the other geographical location? I think that what has necessitated the clamor for this true federalism is the sharing ratio and the quantum of the looting of our national resources by some group of persons. Now, for me, whether you go by true federalism or you go by the current system, the federalism or the current systems are being operated by Nigerians. And Gbolabo, you know that in this country, our problem is not about resources. Our problem is about management of the resources and the level of corruption and stealing that have gone on so much over the years that it's becoming absolutely difficult for ordinary Nigerians who are the one to benefit from these resources to feed properly. And for me, when you talk about politics, political parties, and so on and so forth, what is the reasons why we have ethnic political parties right from the time of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Bafemi Awolowo, and all of our founding fathers? Now, at that material time, the level of pilfering of natural resources and stealing unabated was not as humongous and serious as it is now. And when we got independent, and let me say this, I think we got independence on a platter of gold, and because we had it on a platter of gold, people started to misuse that independence without corresponding thinking of how to develop Nigeria for the greatest number of Nigerian people. And so development became one-sided in the pockets of the few. And that is how we have tolerated some level of indiscipline, small, from this to that. Now Nigeria is getting so gangerous that amputation of our natural resources is imminent. So I think that ethnicity, religious politics, and so on and so forth is a function of winner take all, and everybody wants to go to public offices to steal and steal and steal and keep it to themselves without having to think about the welfare of other persons. Maybe in the course of this program, we will discuss a lot of things that have affected us, even our justice delivery system and all of manner of those things. So let me allow Prof and the rest to
Okay, Prof and Barrister will also ask you questions on the Independence Day. As soon as I also finish with this one, you actually said that we got independence based on platter of gold. It's something, it appears to me, like something we never fought for. Now, history also reminded us that in 1953, Enahoro became the first to move the motion for Nigeria's independence, which was eventually granted in 1960. Now, are we saying that these people, or our founding fathers, like you called them, just acted like Tinubu when he also gave his national speech while accepting to be the democratically elected president of Nigeria, saying he's going to remove subsidy, and people felt that he doesn't even have shocks. He doesn't have any paperwork being done as to how he intends to ensure that it doesn't have direct impact on the people. We do not see that it's the same manner in which Enahoro just acts for Nigeria's independence without really having a plan of whether we're ready or not to be an independent nation as at that time, because you said it was in a platter of gold.
Now, at that time of independence, when the motion was moved by Chief Enahoro, you will discover that there are some certain part of Nigeria that said we don't want independence. Just like the same we have now, we were not prepared. And even when we were prepared, what was the plan that our founding fathers had for the nationalization and making Nigeria one as an independent entity? You saw that in those days that parties were formed along ethnic lines. The Yorubas have the Action Group, the Igbo people have the Nnamdi Azikiwe Group, then the Northern people have the Northern kind of, I don't know what political party they call them. They have their own. So when you see Nigeria, there is a centrifugal force that is pulling us down. We are not united, we are not agreed. When you talk about ethnic, within the ethnic nationality, for instance, if you go to the Igbos, there are certain parts of the Igbos that you cannot even intermarry. You don't look at yourself as becoming. So we are not we are not looking at ourselves as Nigerians. And when you pick Nigerian constitution, if we introduce ethnicities into, you tell us your state of origin, what is your tribe, what is your religion, so and so on and so forth. When you travel to small countries like Rwanda, for instance, they fought a very bitter genocide war. And when you go there now, you dare not introduce yourself as either Tutsi or Hutu or whatever. You are first and foremost a Rwandan or a Rwandese. So in Nigeria of today, if you go to the Yoruba nation, there are some certain part of Yoruba nation that will think that the Yorubas, this part is more superior than the same thing.
All right.
Let me come to where I come from, the Igala nation, for instance. We have this division also in Igala land, where you say this one is original, this one is a counterfeit. What sort of nonsense is that? But when you pick your razor blade and cut your body now, the color of our blood is the same. So Nigerians are not yet prepared as a nation to develop Nigeria evenly from every part. And that is why there is a do and die politics. And you see ethnicities in the appointment, in all manner of governments, you see nepotism here and there. So political reward is not for the best. Nigeria is the only country where we fielded our worst 11 to lead the best 11.
All right, then saying we have to go on this break. Please do permit us to go on this break right about now. We'll bring in the panelists to also ask you follow-up questions on that. That will be shortly after this. Please do stay with us.
32 FM 94.9.
àjẹbọ̀rẹ̀ dọ̀wẹ́kẹ́ ni oúnjẹ ẹ̀jẹ̀ epo ìyìrì ẹ̀rín kẹ̀kẹ̀kẹ̀kẹ̀ bí ẹni mú mi òyìnbó yó. bàbá ń bari ibẹ̀ ọ̀fẹ́ ló tún bá dé o. ẹ̀fẹ́ ó lọ rẹpẹtẹ lórí Salalulu food comedy fest tó lè mọ̀ ní èrè lóríṣiríṣi látọwọ́ band hits ìyanu ọ̀ṣọ́ babatunmise kenzo orí ọ̀fẹ́ sax twinkle dj gabi dj banky dj sexy ẹ̀fẹ́ lẹ́ni àrítòkòtò bí olókìtì látọwọ́ remote wọlé àgbà bá ṣàṣírí àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. àjẹjẹ yóò kúnlẹ̀ rẹpẹtẹ cooking master class látọwọ́ ọ̀fadà boy àti cafe chrysalis kì í mọ̀ ṣeré food comedy fest cookathon ayò lóríṣiríṣi paint and sip àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. olùgbàlejò ńlá ọjọ́ náà láfọ̀ ọ̀pọ̀mọ́ni food and comedy fest tọdún yìí yóò máa wáyé ní ọjọ́ kìíní oṣù kẹwàá ọdún 2023 ní gbàgede ti Ìbàdàn recreation club láti dédé agogo 10 àárọ̀ títí dalẹ́ kẹlẹ́lẹ́. ẹ̀yẹn ṣáà ti forúkọ sílẹ̀ lórí wẹ́bsáìtì wa www.foodcomedyfest.com vip access ẹgbẹ̀rún 10 bó bá jẹ́ yín mẹ́rin 30K náà ni. Cartify àti Devon Kings lálájọṣe wa official drinks partner Malta Guinness MTN Fanfix Soundtrend Famatago Busybody Danes Hotel Dexterity àti Blinks lóṣù nígbàwọ́ ètò náà. ọpẹ́ pàtàkì lọ́wọ́ 32 FM Epic Mugo X lóṣù nígbàwọ́ ẹ̀.
Blessed be the Lord from Zion, who dwells in Jerusalem. Let's start together to experience the words in the scripture as Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, Oyo State Chapter, in conjunction with Christian groups in the diaspora, presents Jerusalem Holy Tour 2023 with our fathers in the Lord, Reverend Samson Ajetumobi, Oyo State PFN Chairman, and other fathers of faith in the land. Come and be a part of the people that will experience great worship, teaching, praise, prayers, and networking in the Holy Land of Jerusalem. Tour begins on 20th November and will end on 28th of November with our reliable Johnny Craft Travels and Tours Limited. To register or make inquiries, call Reverend Francis Adeshola on 0803-335-3574 or Oladeji Fumilola on 0706-495-4931. Be a part of Jerusalem Holy Tour 2023 on the 20th to 28th of November with Reverend Samson Ajetumobi, Oyo State PFN Chairman. Don't be left out.
ìmọ̀lẹ̀ dé òkùnkùn parada ojúlọ́bàrà aba capsule ojú ni ìmọ̀lẹ̀ ara Èdùmàrè má gbòde ọ̀sán lọ́wọ́ wa àkànṣe gbòógì tá a fi mọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ ṣe fún ìtọ́jú ìmọ̀lẹ̀ tí ò mọ̀lẹ̀ kedere tàbí tó ń wò báyìí ojúlọ́bàrà aba capsule egbògi oníkóró ni NAFDAC ìlú ló ń tẹ̀ gbà authentic clear vision ló ṣe é ó wà ní chemist àti pharmacy stores lágbègbè rẹ ẹ tún lè ríra lọ́fíìsì authentic clear vision tó wà business complex lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ Amidu Ajibade shopping complex gate Ìbàdàn àǹfààní ńlá wà fún alágbàtà tó ń kó ní pálípálí ẹ pè
081
081-4254-3127. 081-4254-3127.
ojúlọ bára bá capsule tí o bá sí àyípadà bó o ṣe fẹ́ tètè lọ rí dókítà rẹ o.
ojúlọ bára bá capsule ilé iṣẹ́ authentic clear vision ló gbé jáde.
Would you want to learn the principles, planning techniques, strategies, and skills that you need not only to survive, but also to flourish in your chosen business? Well, HBC Professional Consulting Services invites all entrepreneurs to a book launch, The Prosperity, written by Wale Busari. This is one invaluable material that will help you think hard, work less, and discover your passion. Venue, Ibadan Business School, off Adi Avenue, Old Bodija, Ibadan. Time is 12 noon prompt. Date, Saturday, 30th September 2023. The Chief Launcher, Honorable Chief Bayo Adelabu, the Honorable Minister of Power, to attend. Text reserve your full name, organization to 0813-320-5522. Come, get inspired and set direction for your business growth while having fun.
lótìtọ́ àti lódodo pẹ̀lú ọlọ́run ohun gbogbo ní ṣíṣe láti wá bọ́ àjàgà èṣù kó o sì bọ́ sínú ọlá inú ìsìn agbára power service tí máa wáyé ní gbogbo ọjọ́ ìsinmi sunday nínú ìjọ cathedral of jesus kingdom evangelical ministry lábẹ́ iṣẹ́ ìránṣẹ́ ọlọ́run alààyè apostle adérẹ̀mí adélékè ti sunday yìí á tún lárinrin jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ ìwọ ni kó o má gbẹ̀yìn níbi tí olúwa ọlọ́run alààyè ti ń fàṣẹ dáhùn sọ̀rọ̀ onípòjìpò látàgò 8 àárọ̀ ní cathedral of jesus kingdom evangelical ministry tó wà ní baálẹ̀ adétòkun street off ológun ẹ̀rú ẹ̀rúwà road ẹlẹ́yẹlé area ìbàdàn ọ̀pọ̀ onípòjìpò tó darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ló ti ń kọrin ọpẹ́ ní cathedral of jesus kingdom evangelical ministry fún àlàyé tàbí ẹ̀bẹ̀ àdúrà ẹ máa pè 0806-224-0321 olùgbàlejò apostle david adérẹ̀mí adélékè lóní tó o bá lè wá ọ̀rọ̀ rẹ yóò dayọ̀ lórúkọ jésù. Oh, brother, sister, papa, mama, this one no be for mouth. Na Zenith Real Estate and Properties Limited bring on this ogbonge opportunity to enjoy 50% discount if you buy land for our new estate, Pretoria Park and Garden. One day for money ya. This opportunity no be every time in the shell. When we say na 500,000 naira pere you go pay instead of 1 million naira for one plot of land at Pretoria Park and Garden Estate. The land in the first money I say expressway. Another icing on the cake be say if you buy 6 plots of land, you go get 1 plot on top free of charge with a free deed of agreement. You no believe? Oh yeah, now come to Zenith Real Estate and Properties Limited where they opposite IITA beside Aremu Block Industry or Joe Moniya Road, Ibadan. To confirm the claim yourself, no they sleep again because now the end of this September the opportunity go vamoose. For more information, make that they call 081-4013-9905, WhatsApp 090-2247-1477 for Zenith Real Estate and Properties Limited. Now pleasurely you go own your land.
32 FM gbé yọ Laughter Fest.
Pàdé àwọn ìràwọ̀ òṣèré bíi King Dr. Saheed Òṣùpá olúfimọ́ wa.
ẹ̀yin tèmi King Dr. Saheed Òṣùpá sáré lọ́mọdé olúfimọ́ àkọ́kọ́ bàtàgbà mọ́lẹ̀ ẹ pàdé mi ní Adamasingba lọ́n the 1st of October àwọn 32 FM ló gbé àbọ̀ ńbẹ̀ Laughter Festival ẹ má ṣàlàyé wa.
CDQ yẹ́yẹ́ Fabulous PC àti àwọn ìràwọ̀ adẹ́rìn pọ̀ṣọ́nù bíi wòlíì àgbà Remote of Comedy Short Family Nepa Boys Wòlíì Tẹ́tírítẹ́ MC Obama Ibà Pàrótò Bàbá Lómilámù àti Àfà Làmbòròkì gbọ̀ngàn àríyá ní Rescos Amphitheatre tó wà lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ Sàlámì Adamasingba nìbàdàn lọ́jọ́ kìíní oṣù kẹwàá October 1st ìrèdí aago 4. ẹ jẹ́ kájọ ṣàyájọ́ òmìnira tọdún ní. àwọn alágbàtẹrù ní iléeṣẹ́ international brewery tó pọtí trophy àti grand road táwọn náà pọtí rẹ́gà. ọ̀fẹ́ ní gbẹ̀rà ẹ ò ní fi kọ́bọ̀ wọlé.
32 FM 94.9.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
Just because you do not take an interest in politics doesn't mean politics won't take an interest in you.
The funds spent were properly spent because we got them from intervention funds.
Only you waka come. There is God.
I don't know which party my wife belongs to, but she belongs to my kitchen and my living room and the other room.
Stay in tune with politics on 32 FM 94.9.
All right, you're welcome back. You're still on to the podium this morning, coming to you from 32 FM 94.9. And of course, our guest is still with us virtually this morning. We have SAN Jibrin Okutekwa joining us virtually from Abuja this morning. And of course, our panelists too are in the studios. We have Barrister Yomi Ogunlola and Professor Remy Ayede. I am Gbolabo, famous school. And Essie, and before we went on that break, you were going to round up your thoughts so that we also bring the panelists into this discussion.
Well, I was done. All I was just saying was to randomly look at how unprepared we are, we were, and up to now, how unprepared even we are in terms of managing ourselves. Let's go to the area. You started in your intro by talking about democracy. Gbolabo, ask yourself truly, are we a democratic nation or we are running a civilian dictatorship? One of the militarization of ideas and knowledge is what happened when somebody went to the market, bought a product, and complained that the product was not of a merchantable quality or not reasonably fit for the purpose for which it was made. And the next thing you see, or the next thing we saw, was the exhibition of nickel power to the terrain that is not vested with the power and jurisdiction to determine the question of merchantability and reasonable fit for purpose for that product. And instead of being meek in criticism, the person became so emboldened and exhibited such exaggerated arrogance of power that he has to lock up the young woman somewhere and the woman has been locked up. Where does he get the immediate remedy that we need? Which court will give a immediate remedy? Nigerian courts as of today is 99.5% occupied with political the issues, the resolution of political disputes. So serious commercial and other reasonable disputes that will advance the economic interests of Nigerians are in the docket and in what I refer to as the cooler of the various dockets of our courts. My colleagues there, if he's a practicing lawyer that goes to court like I do, will know that the majority of our colleagues who are not involved in election petition jurisprudence are permit me the use of the word, languishing in pain in not having their matters heard.
Yes.
So my take is that, like I said sometime ago, there is a need for what I may call a truth conference. Truth where we tell ourselves the bitter truth. Because Nigerians of today, our leaders, those in power, don't want to hear the truth. They like those who engage in psychopathic praising and singing their worship that they are doing well. Go to the various states, 36 states, except few. You weep for yourself. Every month they come for handout in Abuja. Nobody is accountable for the use of that resources they get to our respective states. We have local government that have been emasculated. The chairmen are made to sign some amount of money they sign bigger amount of money on paper but collect far less than what is given to them. Example are Oliver. I do not need to mention it.
All right. It means that we have already started identifying the problems, and now tracing the problems to where they are coming from and solving it is now a big task. But then let me go straight to Barrister.
Yes, Lanet Silk, I want to confirm your fears, about what our courts have been reduced to, because one phrase that has become very, very common in many of our courts today is the phrase "take a date." Go take a date. Court is not sitting. Take a date, and that is very, very annoying. I have a question, on the judiciary to ask you, but I want to reserve that because right now, the question I want to ask is on the economy. Nigeria is going to be 63 years old tomorrow, but our economy is in a mess. Permit me to use that word. Even the present president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has seen his courage reduced to cowardice when he came with the idea of removing subsidy, and just a few days down the line, that courage was reduced to cowardice as Nigeria has now started paying subsidy again from all the reports that we have gotten. Now, my question is this. Coming from independence, we have seen that the kind of economy that we run is based on the dollar. Those who are the determinants of our economy remain the Bretton Woods institutions like the World Bank and the IMF. Now, with the revolution that is sweeping through Africa, do you think, sir, that the orthodoxy that we have restricted ourselves to in terms of the management of the economy is ideal for us? Or is it time to look outside the box?
My brother, I think it is time for us first to untie ourselves to the foreign appendages we have tied the Nigerian economy to. And two, the resources we have, the economy that we operate. Economy is in the hands of few that have, instead of applying the resources for the equitable enjoyment and distribution for the benefits of the vast majority of Nigerian people, the few that are in power have cornered our resources. And so we are suffering not because for want of resources, but we are suffering because few have cornered our resources. When Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu came and said he had removed subsidy, he did not realize that he was fighting against who are ruling Nigerians. And I say so because in Nigeria of today and even prior now, those who dictate what happens in government are not in government. And they are the touch notes. They are somewhere. And so for Nigeria to run, even if we decide to do what we need to do to take our destiny in our hands, we must deal with these people squarely. In our country as of today, you know that we have those who are not in government that are more powerful than those in government. All they do is to bring good policies down for the benefits of their selfish individuals. So we need to identify who really runs Nigerian economy. Is it Nigerian government or those that are outside of Nigerian government that pull the strings with their foreign collaborators? If you notice some African countries that want to take their destiny in their hands, their heads of states, their presidents are either assassinated in questionable circumstances. Take Libya, for instance. Since the assassination of Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, Libya has never been the same again. But that was an economy that was booming. So, for me, government of Nigeria needs to do more than leaving the economy of Nigeria to be dictated by Adam Smith's theory of market forces. Like I listened to Senator Adam Oshomole talking about when they were trying to confirm the appointment of the new central bank. We have left everything to laissez-faire, so much so that government is not controlling anything, and we want market forces to determine this thing, and Nigerians are suffering. So is it not time for those who have the opportunity of leading us to sit down and see that the economy they have is not working. Let's go to the economy that works. What happened to our farming that we used to have? In those days, you have granite pyramid, we have cocoa in the southwest, we have palm oil somewhere, they are still there. But the people that have power no longer allow us to go to the bush to farm. And those are the bandits. And they carry guns. We know where they are, but we cannot eliminate them. We cannot kill them. So it's a bundle of so many things that have led to this, and we need to think out of the box. And thinking out of the box requires the collaboration and support of all Nigerians. But today we have politicized everything. Even good government policy is not taken as good government policy by the opposition. And the reason is we have politics of pull him down. Pull him down. Let's pull him down so that we can have opportunity to have access to the resources of the state. And the best way to have access to resources of the state is to be in political power. And that's why you see do order everywhere. So we need to think out of the box. And thinking out of the box requires that all Nigerians must be carried along. Then there must be a leader. What we have had so far is independent. Apart from on few occasions, our rulership, we don't have leaders. Leaders lead by example. Leaders are those who lead with Spartan life.
But SCN, sorry to butt in a little bit. Sorry to butt in, because you made mention of having rulers instead of leaders. Now, do we blame this set of leaders, or would we call them rulers now? When we look at the provisions of the Constitution, is the Constitution in a way very instructive when it comes to what is expected of a leader to do? Because you realize that even when there is a subsisting court judgment, there's still a bypass. And now you still see SCN going to court to argue and against some of these provisions. Now, would we now say that is the fault of those leaders, or we have lacunas in our legal system that allows our leaders to operate with so much power and vigor?
Gbolabo, I have consistently maintained that even in the legal profession, there are no consequences. And that is why Nigeria is a country of anything goes. Anybody can wake up and do whatever he or she likes, and there are no consequences. Now, when we talk about lawyers in other clients, there are boundaries. You cannot be seen to engage in chameleonistic arguments. You say today that Gbolabo is a woman, and the next thing you go to another court, you say Gbolabo is a man. In a country where consequences are visited on lawyers, such lawyers will have their license withdrawn.
Yes.
And I have consistently written that the greatest problems that we have in this country, with all respect, and I mean no insult, is that the legal profession must take the lead. But today, we have tolerated all manners of improprieties, that abnormalities have become normal in our society. If you go to court, my colleagues there, in the legal profession today, everything, what is were not supposed to be tolerated by the founding fathers of this noble profession become the Hilton of today. And no longer there is no discipline. So when we talk about leaders or rulers, they are product of the society. Today, we celebrate those who have more money than those who, like a prof is there now. If he goes to his village and he cannot ride a good chauffeur-driven cars, they'll look at him as not a reasonable professor. But meanwhile, the man is integrity-driven. So we no longer respect integrity in Nigeria. No more honesty. No more truths to say this is not correct. So how did you get here that abnormalities have become what we worship? And that is why our politics of today our best 11 cannot be there because they don't have the humongous amount of money to bribe those who need to be bribed for you to have your ways, to force your way on the people. So that's why in the beginning I said, are we even practicing democracy? Because in a democratic setup, sovereignty belongs to the people. Is sovereignty belonging to Nigerian people, or sovereignty belongs to few individuals who are somewhere who manipulate results of election and put our governors, our local government chairmen, our everything? You see that there is no democracy. What we operate is civilian selection, civilian dictatorship, and so on and so forth. So my take is that the fault is neither in the law, the fault is in us. We are who we are because of who we are.
All right, Prof.
I think to a large extent I agree with the senior advocate of Nigeria. There's a lot to be done in terms of our values, and you can't plant cassava and want to reap banana. So we have these issues we've been discussing around all of this, and it's important for us to focus on what can be done because we have all kinds of issues thrown up about leadership, about our values, and from the perspective of law and society, how can we begin to re-engineer the Nigerian people in such a manner that we begin to return to those vital values that we then revive the free fall that we are currently experiencing in every facet of our society. You talk about leadership. How do we get the kind of leadership that will transform this society? We talk about regard for money and disregard for integrity. How can we begin to make changes in those areas? I don't know what the San has to say on that.
Bro, I think that that takes me to the question of whether or not, as Nigerians, we want to have a country that we call our own, where everyone, irrespective of where you come from, can aspire to be leaders of this society, where we place value of honesty and integrity. And that means that we must go back to basis. How were we able to produce some good judges in those days? J.I.C. Taylor, for instance, was invited by a military head of state for a function, and he turned it down. How do we go back to the Oputas of this world, the Agbajes of this world, the Kokas of this world, the Mohammed Bellos of this world, the Mohammed Lawas ways of this world? How were they recruited that they were able to have the strength of character and capacity to withstand temptation? How do we get the Nikki Tobis of this world back? So first we need to look at the process of our recruitment to the bench. Who is to be a judge? A man who has capacity to go and engage in settlement with a judicial officer, if he has opportunity to go to the bench, will eventually be looking forward to be settled on the bench. So our recruitment process must be looked into. 2, our nation has devalued so many value systems that we have. In those days, you don't just go to social media and begin to say, this is my wife, this is my husband. We have background checks from family to family in all areas in Nigeria. Today, anything goes. Once you come home, you say you are from Abuja and you are going to Iseyin somewhere in Ibadan or in a place called Ofepe in Ofu local government in my village, and they say you are coming from Abuja, the next thing people are looking for is money. How do we get to begin to love money more than the value that we have? You can no longer train our children to even understand the moral value of our society. So the moment we drop the worship of money and you are not appointed to a place on the basis, even within ecclesiastical world, You are made a bishop, you are made a deacon, you are made a man because of the money you can throw to the leadership of the mosque or the church. We must have a conference, not this one they call. We had what President Jonathan put what they call national conference. They report who were the people that were selected to go for that national conference. So I will suggest, like Adam Osomole rightly pointed out, if your CV is that as a medical doctor, so many patients have died in your hospital, you are the lead to be appointed chief medical director of a medical facilities. We must begin to identify Nigerians that have lived a godly and good life, who have made contribution to be approached, to come to bring ideas on the table, like what we are doing today. Do we have anybody in government that is collating our views and implementing it? Gbolabo, if you remember, when you asked me, I said I wasn't going to waste my time, because whatever we say here today, like one of my learner friends says, controversy in Nigeria has 2 weeks lifespan. The moment we speak from here now, nobody remembers what you and I are saying. We have government that collect the views of Nigerians, what Nigeria wants, and put them into practical reality, or they follow the views of sycophants who praise them that what they are doing is right, and whereas it's not right. Can we move around in Nigeria now to even campaign? Is campaign in Nigeria based on issues or dancing? Look at all the political parties that go for political warfare. Not issues of what they can do, and nobody is held accountable. Nobody is held responsible. That's why I have always consistently been saying that in this country, we have to have politicized and trivialized so many honest views and criticisms, even of the decisions of our court. When we criticize judges, some judges take it personal. It was not so in those days. In academics, you have journals that review decisions of court, review policies of government. We have such journals in our university today. Is our university not mere a place where you go? So many stories are coming out there. When we were in the university in those days, I didn't know the road to where my lecturers' offices were. But today, what is the story? So there is a low moral decadence in our society, and government must revive what they call this MAMSA, National Orientation Agency. Are they still existing? So, if you go to our secondary school today, we no longer teach history. We no longer tell stories of those who were very good. So everything now, we go to internet, and we even go to AI, artificial intelligence. How will the artificial intelligence know the cultural value of the Yoruba, the Igala, the Nupe, the Tulos, the Jukuns of this world? We have left those moral values. Stealing was abhorred in those days. You can't steal. You are caned as a child. But today, if a child comes home with so much dollars, possibility exists for some parents to corner the dollars and enjoy themselves.
The
because
value system.
they are seeing people stealing. And people who are stealing, there are no consequences for stealing.
All right, SAN, I know that you've spoken so much well on the legal system, and I think Barrister also has a follow-up to that. But we also need to look at the political terrain. Please go ahead.
Okay. Leonard Silk, we don't get to have such special guests like you every day, especially one that is very well grounded in one of the arms of government, the judiciary particularly, where we belong. I want to take the opportunity to ask you a few questions regarding our business. Now, Nigerians, we all believe that the courts ought to be the last hope of the common man. And for this reason, many of the courts appear to have adopted the recent rules of court that emanated from the UK, where we emphasize the expeditious disposition of matters in courts. what I have found is you go into a court and the cause list for the day has about 45, 50 cases for a judge to attend to. And if you have carefully observed, sir, like I have done, I find that the matters that really occupy the time for the judges is somebody has brought an application for substituted service, there is an application for amendment, there is an application for change of counsel, and many of those trivial matters. I am wondering, sir, having carefully looked at the American system and seen the roles of paralegals, isn't it possible in this quest for expeditious hearing of matters that we have what I want to call the Chief Registrar's Court to handle those trivial issues rather than bringing them to the main court, and that it is only after all of those ones have been taken care of by that court that I propose, and the substantive matter for trial will come before the judge, rather than having a judge to have to sit down on an application that is seeking to serve a process or by whatever means possible, to amend the process, to change counsel, and many of those trivial
All
things.
right, Barrister, we have to take this break. When we do come back, we'll have SAN answer that question.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
Would you want to learn the principles, planning techniques, strategies, and skills that you need not only to survive, but also to flourish in your chosen business? Well, HBC Professional Consultant Services invites all entrepreneurs to a book launch, The Prosperity, written by Wale Busari, venue, Ibadan Business School, off Adi Avenue, Old Bodija, Ibadan. Time is 12 noon prompt. Date, Saturday, 30th September 2023. The Chief Launcher, Honorable Chief Bayo Adelabu, the Honorable Minister of Power, co-launchers, Chief Adegbuega Adegoke, Alhaji Chief Lukman Olaleyin, Uncle Yonju Adegbite, Honorable Kola Olabi, Chief Kolapo Koladaisi, Chief Femi Adebayo, and a host of other invited dignitaries to attend. Text reserve your full name, organization to 0813 320 5522. Come, get inspired, and set direction for your business growth while having fun.
Ó tún ti tó àkókò láti tún ṣe ìrìn àjò ẹ̀mí ológo lórílẹ̀‐èdè Israeli tó fi mọ́ orílẹ̀‐èdè Jordani.
Pẹ̀lú ajínrere obìnrin wòlíì Mary Ọláìdé Mama Possibility.
Ó ti wá wọlé wẹ́rẹ́ nípasẹ̀ iléeṣẹ́ You Fit Fly.
Pẹ̀lú àjọṣepọ̀ iléeṣẹ́ ìránṣẹ́ Possibility Chapel International.
Òjò iṣẹ́ ìyanu àti ìbùkún tún rọ̀ sórí onípòjìpò nínú ìrìn àjò mímọ́ lọ sílẹ̀ Israeli tó fi mọ́ orílẹ̀‐èdè Jordani.
Tó máa wáyé ní ọjọ́ 9 sí ọjọ́ 16 oṣù kẹwàá ọdún tá a wà yìí.
Gbogbo àyè tó lu Elédùmarè ti ṣiṣẹ́ ìyanu nínú Bíbélì láti padà fojú kàn nínú ìrìn àjò yìí bí odò Jordani, òkè Kapanamon, Násárẹ́tì tàti bí Jésù àti ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àyè tá a lè kà tán láti forúkọ sílẹ̀.
Ẹ yọjú sí ọ́fíìsì You Fit Fly,
Success House, 7up Road, Olúyọ̀lé Main Estate, Ring Road, Ìbàdàn.
Telephone 0803-405-1675 or 08077774880.
Àkànṣe ìrìn àjò sílẹ̀ mímọ́
pẹ̀lú wòlíì Mary Ọláìdé Mama Possibility.
Tó o bá darapọ̀ wàá yin Ọlọ́run lógo.
32 FM gbé yọ. Laughter Fair.
Pàdé àwọn ìràwọ̀ òṣèré bíi King Dr. Saheed Òṣùpá Olúfímọ́ wa.
Ẹ̀yin tèmi King Dr. Saheed Òṣùpá Saheed Òṣùpá Olúfímọ́ àkọ́kọ́ bàtàgbà mọ́lẹ̀ ẹ pàdé mi ní Adamasingba lọ́n the 1st of October àwọn 32 FM lógo àbọ̀ ńbẹ̀ Laughter Festival ẹ má ṣàlàyé wa.
CDQ yẹ́yẹ́ Fabulous PC àti àwọn ìràwọ̀ adẹ́rìn pọ̀ṣọ́nù bíi wòlíì àgbà Remote of Comedy Short Family Nepa Boys Wòlíì Tẹ́tírítẹ́ MC Obama Ibà Pàrótò Bàbá Lómilámù àti Àfà Làmbòròkì gbọ̀ngàn àríyá ní Race Course Amphitheatre tó wà lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ Sàlámì Adamasingba n'Íbàdàn lọ́jọ́ kìíní oṣù kẹwàá October 1st ìrèdí aago 4. ẹ jẹ́ kájọ ṣàyájọ́ òmìnira tọdún ní. àwọn alágbàtẹrù ní iléeṣẹ́ international beauty tó pọ́ntì trophy àti grand road táwọn náà pọ́ntì rẹ́gà. ọ̀fẹ́ ní gbẹ̀rà ẹ ò ní fi kọ́bọ̀ wọlé.
32 FM 94.9.
Thirty-two FM 94.9.
Safasa pelisizo simnyama iwasafa.
All right, you're welcome back. You're still on to the podium on 32 FM 94.9. And before we went on that break, Barrister, you were on a question.
Yes. So, Lanet Silk, I am trying to see the possibility of us because our judges are overburdened, the possibility of us taking some of these pre-trial issues away from them, probably to a chief registrar's court, in quotes, as I am calling it now, if it is possible, so that what actually goes before the judges will be the trial proper, not all those things, the peripheries of the matter, which can be handled at that level. That's number one. Then number two, the number of Supreme Court justices, we understand with the retirements and what have you, is reduced to 11. An olive branch was thrown to the bar by the Onogen administration. We were looking at the possibility of having another Teslim Elias or Augustine Namani being drawn to the highest bench. But unfortunately, what came out of it was, to say the least, ludicrous. And today, the Supreme Court is also understaffed by justices. What is your view, and what is the implication of having this reduced number of justices at the Supreme Court?
Let me start from the last before we get to the first and foremost. As of today, I think the number of justices of Supreme Court, I think they are getting back to 9, not even 11 that you have said. My Lord Justice Amina Ogi had left, and my Lord Justice Datijo will soon leave. And so the Supreme Court has been reduced to a ridiculous number level, where their lordships can no longer cope with the volumes of litigation that goes there. And that has a telling effect on the quality of justice that comes out of that court. Now, I am not too sure that what my Lord Justice Onoge proposed, the system is prepared for it. And that's why I say that we need to sit down. The system we operate is supposed to change. And we must change the system. Otherwise, time will come when both the judges and the lawyers may be stoned by people who have lost interest in adjudication. And so we need to, I have advocated that we need to convocate a meeting of the leadership of the bar and the bench to decide what kind of justice do we give to Nigeria. As of today, you know that the legal profession in Nigeria is a specialist in jurisprudence, in jurisdictional jurisprudence. No substance of matters are examined. People get just judgments devoid, in some cases, devoid of justice. And what people go to court to look for is justice, not judgment. And when judgment is delivered that does not address the justice of the matter, then that kind of thing will lead to the Hobbesian theory of a state of nature, where the mighty becomes right, life will become brutish and nasty, and there will be no place for industry. As of today, like I said in the beginning, our court cannot cope with giving justice to Nigerian people because of the sheer volume of political cases that are in court. And so the Supreme Court handles all manner of cases. And if you listen to my Lord Justice Amina Ogi, a day was when the Supreme Court was to decide about slaughtering of goats. Goat, pepper soup goat. What kind of a thing is that? And why do we go there? So we need to reduce the requirements of even the taking of the rank of silk. Where do you go to Supreme Court? Why do you go to Supreme Court? Advocacy is not in the Supreme Court. Indeed, I delivered a paper in 2007 with the introduction of front-loading system, that the front-loading system in Nigeria has killed advocacy. You go to court, they will tell you, Mr. Kutepa, adopt your paper, we will read it, So what we do in Nigeria majorly now in our court is what I call solicitor's job. You write, you go to, you adopt your paper. You are not even tasked to know whether indeed you prepare the briefs of argument. So
sorry,
the system,
SAN, those to get you very correctly, are you saying that the principle of front loading will not stop this trend of frivolous applications before the courts?
I'm coming to that. Now, from loading system that we have, if you look at it, there is what we call pre-trial system. You wear judges. You know, some of the applications are in all our rules. You see them there, but do they use it? Do they follow it? We don't follow our laws. That's why I don't believe that we practice the rule of law in Nigeria. What we practice is the rule of convenience. The rule of convenience. We don't follow law. If we follow law, you will discover that if our judges are prepared to punish those who breach the law, for instance, in our constitution, cross-carpeting is prohibited for a member of parliament. But you see member of parliament cross-carpeting and they are in breach of Nigerian constitution and they are still there. They go to another political party to seek for higher office and the judges do not want to punish them for breaching our constitution. So until there are sanctions for breach of our laws, we will continue to see this. Back to the question, the Supreme Court. How many, there are roadblocks to even private practitioners. You may not have the Tyson Elias of this world or the Unamanis of this world in the Supreme Court. Not in this our lifetime. And the reason is very simple. Apart from the constitutional qualification, there are other unseen qualifications that have been thrown out that automatically disqualified private practitioners from being moved to the Supreme Court. One, there is those who are the Court of Appeal now want to be moved to the Supreme Court as a kind of promotion. Now, there are rules and regulations of how many judgments you need to write. As a private practitioner, I don't write judgments. So how can I meet the qualification of judgment that I have delivered? I cannot, because I don't write judgments. I argue causes and matters. Now, those are part of the unseen, I don't know, rules that the private legal practitioner, a lot of my colleagues applied and nothing is happening. So we need to sit down. The NJC, all the institutions responsible for appointment to the bench, we need to sit down and look at ourselves face to face and say, all is not well with our justice delivery system. All is not well with our practice as lawyers.
Learned Silk. So, yes. because of time, I now want you to please address the exactly, sir.
Second point is, I agree with you that we need to have a filtering state to reduce the workload of our judges. But who are these registrars that are going to do the filtering? Do they look? Let me say also that the Nigerians in us that allow us to tolerate so many things on the grounds of what appears to be sympathy, or on the grounds that we love ourselves, but indeed we have no love for ourselves, is what we need to look at. Now, if you look at our rules, even the current rules, either the rules of the Court of Appeal or the rules of the Supreme Court, there are the various courts. There are roles reserved for those who are accepting processes. How many of the registrars we have appointed have capacity to appreciate good or bad processes filed by lawyers? Nemo that will not happen. You can't give that which you do not have. If you do not have a knowledge to know that the process is bad, how do you query the badness? Permit me the use of that word, the badness of that process. So, and then that again takes me to those we recruited as registrars. Are they people that got to the place on the ground that it is your turn to produce somebody? Who do you produce as registrars, as clerks? What is their strength of character? My brother, when you go to court today, And I'm sorry to say, you see that the kind of demands made on you as a lawyer are mind-boggling. And that is the place where justice is to be dispersed. So we need to tell ourselves the truth that all is not well. And the foundations of all of these things that I'm saying is corruption. Once we are able to fight the corruption in the system that makes things not work, then things will begin to work.
Right.
And that will have to begin with from ourselves
Mm.
as lawyers.
All right, let's see.
Because let me say this, lawyers are supposed to be the light of the society. And where they go, darkness flee. But today, darkness appears to have covered the light of the legal profession in Nigeria. And so anything goes is what we give to. We go to court to tell the court to do what is not correct to be done. And the court is a product of us, may follow us and begin to give what is not correct. And Nigerian society is the worse for it.
All right, in case you're just joining us, it's still 32 FM 94.9, and the program is The Podium. And you can also join us on our socials, 32 FM 949 Ibadan on Facebook and also on YouTube. The numbers to call us in this morning to participate is 070-550-949 or 080-970-949. Keep it short and simple. And for those on our international scene who also wants to contribute, the numbers are +234 90 62 949. And I just quickly want to take you to the National Assembly. And I know that they play a major role in our political system and the kind of politics we run in Nigeria. Many people have asked questions as to how they emerge, the representative of the people, but there were elections who brought these individuals in. But now, it's been said that they are more or less the apron string of any politician who is in government. And if you look at the trend of our National Assembly, especially looking at the executives at the National Assembly, there are bills that come before the National Assembly, and when it comes to the issue of loans, they are very quick in granting the executive loans. So now, many people are still blaming this present National Assembly, as early as it may look like. The $800 million World Bank loan request was asked by Tinubu and it was granted. Many people still feel that the National Assembly is the apron spring of the executive. Now, there should be separation of powers, so to say. If we look at all of this, we are talking about independence. Then if we do have a legislature that is not independent, we also talk about the judiciary not being independent enough, then we look at the local government, the state level. We are still talking about them not being able to control resources within their domain. And now we're talking about 63 years of being a nation. Where do you think we're going to, especially starting with the National Assembly?
Well, for me, not only the National Assembly, I think the legislative arms of government in Nigeria seems to be hands in glove with the executive arms of government in order to perpetuate the kind of things we are seeing. They are not independent. They are at a point in time, some political commentators tag them yes men, anything goes, because the functions of parliament in the more, take for instance, even in the screening exercise, how deep are the questions put for political nominees? Were they able to trace the backgrounds of some of these nominees who may not be reasonably fit for the public office they are to occupy? So, I honestly don't know whether the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is performing the role that it should perform. That is to check the excesses of the executives, to check the excesses, even the appointments of some judicial officers are supposed to pass through the National Assembly, screening them, and so on and so forth. If you watch some screening of a U.S. judge by a senator,
yes,
the senator was reading out some of the decisions of the judge that could not stand the scrutiny of the appellate judge. How many of these? We are all living witnesses to hands in gloves in trying to do what ought not to be done, that is being done in the face of all, and we are just keeping quiet. So for me, again, that boils to the question of whether we as a people are serious to bring dividends of development and democracy to the table of the average Nigerians.
And that speaks
But
volumes
as I
about.
put it,
Sorry, I say and to butt in, but from what you're saying, if I could deduce well, you're talking about the state of accountability and, of course, the level of corruption. If you're saying
we are not
excesses,
the National Assembly and even the executives are not, and perhaps to some larger extent, the judicial arm of government are not holding people accountable. And because we are not holding people accountable, things are just deteriorating in geometrical proportion.
you know why I'm asking that question, just to be clear on that. I do remember that there was a time Itse Sage, also an SAN, asked for a special court for corruption cases to be dealt with. Now, you indeed talked about most of the cases in court are merely political cases, and other matters have been lying fallow without some sort of attention. And now, do we go back as part of the solutions to some of the things the likes of Itse Sage has brought to the fore, saying that there must be a specialized court to whoop some of our leaders into line to say what you're doing, it's incorrect. And who are these judges who are going to man, if at all we agree with Itse Sage, there should be a specialized court to look at excesses in governance as we celebrate 63 years. Because Tinubu appears to be having a template right now. He needs to have a template as to how to fix Nigeria before the next elections. Would you align?
I would suggest.
Okay.
I would suggest that the number of our judges be increased. That's the first thing we need to do. Now, my learner friend asked me about the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court justices, by constitutional operation, they are supposed to be 21.
Yes.
And we never had a complement of 21 justices of the Supreme Court. I have written at a point in time that we're supposed to have up to 90 justices of the Supreme Court. What we have 90 senators representing the 36 states and one from FCT. What are they doing in the National Assembly? What problem are they solving there? That we need judges that are not overburdened and overworked, so that we make accommodation and their facilities available for them, just the way we make facilities available for our politicians, for judges to work and insulate them from politics. Secondly, now when you talk about the specialized court, you have also asked a better question. Now we can have a specialized court. I have no doubt that with that, but who is going to man those specialized courts? Where are we recruiting them from? How are they going to be recruited? Who is to recruit them? Are we not going to face the kind of the same problems that we face in the process of our recruitment, where instead of picking the best, we pick the worst? So we need to come together, and that's why I am happy. In the beginning, and I said something that everybody laughed, that we are in happy. What did I even say there?
Bondage.
So by the time we was, I delivered a paper at one occasion, and I said the only way we can eliminate corruption from Nigeria is for all of us to be corrupt. Let everybody steal. You steal, I steal. And once there is nothing to steal again, and poverty and hunger is wiring every one of us, then we then sit down on a negotiable table to say, look, gentlemen, we can't continue to steal. Let us now use because if you go to Rwanda, for instance, they were killing themselves. Today they agreed that no Tutsi, no Hutu, and things must be done orderly. Okada man there obey law. In Nigeria here, it's unlawful to be lawful because everyone appears to have a DNA lawlessness. So what kind of country do we operate like that? In the National Assembly, that you ask questions, and our judges that you have asked, I'm not saying judges are not good, they are good judges, but who will help them? They are good judges. Some are even afraid to do what is right because you see petitions. In those days, lawyers and judges they work hand in hand. They are brothers. Nobody interferes in the affairs of the other one. But today, you can't even get close to a judge that is your friend because there will be petition against them.
All right, I really, SAN, I really want to pick you up on this before getting back to the panelists. I'm actually looking at the Kano State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal verdicts. And now many people were... Yeah, many people, I know we might not look at the merit of this case. Some people said it wasn't a fair handshake in some parliaments. But then I want to ask you, on your psychological impression of a statement being credited to one of the panelists at the tribunal, Justice Benson, and at least he said this one is not in court with this. It was quoted as saying that the respondents, that's Governor Abba Kabia Yusuf, his party, the NNPP, and Kwankwansia political movement are red cap wearing terror cultists, bandits, and bitter losers. Now, coming from a judge, is that good enough?
I have not read the judgment. I do not want
but it's in the editorials. I'm giving you.
That's the editorial. But as lawyers, I will look at the judgment. I've not been briefed. I'm not in the matter. I didn't waste my time to read it. Gbolabo, please spare us the analysis of these because under our law, there is appeal to the Court of Appeal, and then another appeal lies to the Supreme Court. Let those who are aggrieved exploit the rule of law. Go to court if you feel seriously that His Lordship said what you said, and there is something that ought not to be said by a judicial officer. Then go on appeal and have it quashed. Because if a judge descends into the arena of conflicts, that will certainly have a telling effect on his vision of justice.
So I say, and we should also keep quiet about the Supreme Court fire. So many things have been said too. Are you concerned?
The Supreme Court is the final court. So if
I'm talking about the fire outbreak, SAN, at the Supreme Court.
The fire outbreak, no country is immune from fire. If the fire outbreak, Supreme Court
at
is
this
not
sensitive time. Okay. All right.
What I expected you to have asked is why was there no in that place? But do you expect the Chief Justice of Nigeria or Justice of the Supreme Court to be firemen? No.
But the spokesman has actually given us a breakdown that the buildings are old structures and they don't have those facilities because it's a archaic system.
Facilities have to be up to date.
All right, let me go to
Lana Silk.
Yes, my brother.
I have to crave your indulgence. I know that Gbolabo was actually running away from bringing any election petition matter. But I do know that when you mention the name Okutekwa, SAN, Nigerians are, quick to remember that he is one of the actors at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. And I know they will skin us alive if we don't bring at least one or two questions within that realm. The question I'm going to ask is this. Our democracy since 1999 has shown a very, very worrisome trend where the courts, rather than the people, the electorate, are electing our rulers or leaders, as the case may be. Are you comfortable with this, sir?
I am not comfortable that from 1999 to date, we have developed principles of law that appears to have aided and abating political rascalities and impositions of unpopular candidates on Nigerian people. And I have written extensively on that. We are told that election petitions is sui generis. The sui generis nature of election petitions in Nigeria, with all respect, it seems to have been invoked in aid of democratic infractions. And I say this with all respect because the electoral umpire, which is INEC, in some cases, Nigerians are aware, brazenly breach its own rules and regulations in the conduct of elections. And we expected that they are held accountable. Yeah. In most cases, and I have written before, that in a place where things are as notoriously bad as everyone is aware, it is immoral to presume regular what is irregularly done. How do you presume the result generated by electoral body of Nigeria that we all know? And I've always said that their lordships are not living in Ireland. Nigerian judges go to Nigerian markets, Nigerian judges buy in breathe Nigerian air and move on Nigerian soil. Just like they took judicial notice in Senator Abraham Adesoya about the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that rumors are pastime of construction sites and marketplaces. Time has come for Nigerian judicial officers to also take judicial notice of political rascalities and gangsterisms of our politicians in installing themselves against the will of Nigerian people. They should be able to notice before election where campaigns are not allowed in some places. You read in some states that government will go and dig block a road and dig a road for a political opponent not to move. When you talk about free, fair, and credible election, it is that the election from the campaign to the voting to the collation to the announcement of result must follow due process. So on that basis, therefore, for me, I have been consistently consistent that our judicial system must hold the political class accountable. And that is why the provisions was made for pre- and post-election litigation. But you go to court, and you may not blame their lordships, because they have all manner of prejudice. And God had caused some of them, they have confessed on national television. Late Senator Matu, for instance, confessed. We're all aware of what they claim they do. And so you're also aware of what happened even in the last assembly. Yeah. So if these confessions are coming from these high quarters, then Nigerians should be worried. So there is nothing wrong for the judiciary to determine winners of election. But in doing so, it must be based on the purity of justice, not on the let my people go kind of arrangements. And if you watch from even 1979, the two-third kind of arrangement of Chief Babemi Awolowo and the rest, time has come for us to stop managing our system, because the management of the source on our political body is turning to political amputation. And that is why we have what we are having today. Our judiciary must be bold, like His Lordship Justice Ogutade said. When justice is done, heaven will not fall. Oh, yes. Heaven cannot fall, because the master architect is God. Oh, yes. He holds the entire world without a pillar. So let justice be done. But we are not ready to do justice because we are afraid that if justice is done, there may be riot.
All right, I see, and our time is actually fast spent. We have to round up this conversation, but let's see if you can get just one more call. Just one call before we let you go. 070550949 is the number, or 080970949. And all right, we have this one. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, please.
Yeah, I'm happy with all the questions and the conversation so far.
Okay.
I congratulate our humble brother there. I don't know, I'm an elderly woman, so I wouldn't know whether to call him daddy or brother, I don't know. But I congratulate him. I like all the answers you gave to your questions. Now, you see, Nigerian system, our government system, until their hearts are purged of corruption, that is when Nigeria can move forward. The three arms of government of this nation are filled with corrupt people. Let us tell ourselves the truth in this country. For once, God bless you.
All right, thank you so much for dropping that in. We didn't have your name. We didn't get your name, so to say. Our time is actually fast spent. But, Prof, any last word before we ask SAN to run up this morning?
Yeah, I think he has made a very vital point today, which I think I will want him to expatiate again with a view to a solution. He said, what we have is the rule of convenience, not the rule of law. How can we transit from the rule of convenience to the rule of law?
All right, SAN, did you get that? And just to add this, one word for the president, this independence anniversary, if you have to advise Tinubu at this time, because many people have complained about his economic policy. And I'm also reading on Facebook, Ekediran Babatunde is saying the governance is stinking because any con lumo are complaining, but Emilokon is not perturbed, saying those that are affected are complaining, but those who are our leaders who claim to have a slogan of Emilokon are not disturbed. Now, one word also for the presidency, just to add to what Prof has asked you.
Well, for me, like the last caller, the mama that called said, we must tell ourselves the truth that all is not well. And if we say all is not well, then we must convocate a conference to chart a way forward for Nigeria to go.
What's the name of the conference? What do we call the conference?
Whatever name you call it, it must be a conference that is all Nigerians are allowed to participate. Like this, your conference, this is your radio. Everybody is open to everybody. It's not being selected. It's only myself, Prof, and my colleague that you invited. Others have been given. Let Nigerians participate and say their views, and let nobody ignore the views of Nigeria, whether reasonable or unreasonable. When we collect it, we know the direction we want to go in terms of economy, in terms of our law. Our justice system need to move away from technicality to substantial justice.
What about Tinubu's economic policy as we go, sir?
But my advice to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is that he has nothing to lose. He should fight corruption head on.
All right, on that note, we must say a big thank you to SAN, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Jibrin Okutepa, for joining us on this interview. We say thank you so much for this very good conversation, quite in-depth, and we hope to do this again. Thank you so much, sir, for being part of this conversation this morning on the podium.
Thank you for inviting me, and God bless you. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and God bless my colleagues and Prof that are with you there.
All right. Thank you so much.
It's a great pleasure, Lanet Silk, having you with us this morning.
All right, I must say a big thank you to also our panelists, Barrister Yomi Ogunlola and, of course, Professor Remi Ayede. My name is Gbolabo Moscow. Join us again next week for another interesting edition. Bye for now.